So hello, I'm Kat Medley. I'm a Dementia Connect Local Services Manager for the Alzheimer Society in Swindon, part of the wider Bath, North East Somerset, Swindon, Wiltshire and Dorset area. But we're also a national charity. Thank you for joining me today. This is going to be a session all about what is available in Swindon, what the Dementia Support Team can do and what the wider Alzheimer's Society also provide. I'm going to be switching between a PowerPoint and myself. It all feels a bit strange because I'm talking to myself at the moment, which is not unusual, but normally there aren't other people listening in, so please bear with me. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen and sharing a presentation with you. So I've worked for the Alzheimer's Society for 5 years. I've worked with people with dementia for the last 15 years. I have family members with dementia and I've seen the impact it's had on people both personally and professionally. Every member of my team has the same training when it comes to working with people with dementia, but an awful lot and a variety of experiences of working with people with dementia. So just to start from the basics really, so what is dementia? We often find people become confused around the terms dementia and the specific diseases that it can include. So the dementia is the symptoms that occur when the brain is affected by the diseases and conditions. And that can include things like Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, frontotemporal dementia, Lewy body dementia. And sadly for a lot of people, some of these dementias don't come on their own. You can have a combination of dementias, for example, Alzheimer's and vascular dementia, which can lead to a crossover of symptoms and a broad range of symptoms that people end up suffering from. It's a very complex condition and it can cause all sorts of symptoms in different people. And I think it's fair to say, and we say this a lot within the society, that one person's experience of dementia is one person's experience of dementia. We take each person as an individual and make sure that we can support them on an individual basis. And I think it's really important that I show you the next slide. So this is a visual representation of what it looks like for someone with Alzheimer's disease. You can see the vast difference in the brain matter within these brains. So the healthy brain on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see there aren't many gaps, there's not much deterioration. And the brain with advanced Alzheimer's disease, you can see the significant gaps that have opened up within their brain. And if you think of that in terms of an actual brain and actually living with that, it becomes like a bit of a roadmap and there's roadblocks along the way and parts of the brain that you can no longer access through their normal routes. This means the brain takes alternative routes to get to information, which might lead to the information being incorrect. It might be in a muddle. It may no longer exist within the brain. It may have been stored in one of those parts where you see the gaps open up. And this can affect everything from most commonly thought of is memory, but also sequencing, the ability to access language and the ability to manage spatial awareness. There's all sorts of other things that can also affect in terms of your physical abilities as well as you advance through a dementia. So Alzheimer's Society is the UK's leading dementia charity. We campaign for change, fund research to find a cure and support people living with dementia today. I think we're all aware that the impact that coronavirus has had on people with dementia has been catastrophic, and family and friends have spent an extra 92 million hours caring for their loved ones with dementia due to both lockdown making dementia symptoms worse and the underfunded social care system. Over 40% of carers spend more than 100 hours a week caring for their person with dementia. This is a huge amount of time that is not being funded by anyone, that is not being rewarded by anyone, and that is not necessarily being well supported. You may have seen our Cure the Care system adverts this week. They're hard-hitting adverts. They're quite they're designed to get people talking and they're designed to get the attention of government. We're not saying that individual social care systems locally aren't doing their very best, that social workers aren't doing their very best. What we're saying is the system as a whole is broken. And the tagline, while dementia doesn't currently have a cure, the care system could, I think is really important, because actually we could make it better. We could make support for people with dementia better at point of access, more equitable and more easy to access, less complicated. And that's something that the dementia support team locally can do. So that was a sort of a very, very brief overview of what the Alzheimer's Society can do nationally. We speak on behalf and with people with dementia to advocate for them, but locally we have support teams. So the dementia support team in Swindon is made up of various support workers. So we have Emily and Helen and Linda, who's currently on maternity leave. And we also have Karen, who makes up our group coordinator role as well. These support workers have a range of experience and knowledge to support people with their dementia to ensure that they are able to live well with their dementia, navigate the different systems that are available to them, ensure that they can access things like benefits or access groups and social opportunities. So we can support anyone with a diagnosis of any type of dementia, not just Alzheimer's. And we can support their carers, loved ones, friends and family. But we can also support people who are seeking a diagnosis of dementia. We know that the pandemic has meant that memory clinics have not been able to diagnose in the volumes they were previously. People are waiting longer for their diagnosis. And we can support those people who are seeking a diagnosis because they are aware of problems that may surround their memory or their ability to sequence or problem solve. We accept referrals from anyone. It doesn't have to be from a medical professional. You can refer to us through the phone or over email, and we will be back in contact with you, and we can create then a support plan with you to achieve the things that you want to achieve. If I give an example, you can return to us as many times as needed wherever there is a support need. So for example, you may be referred to us immediately after diagnosis, and while that is a time where you need some information, we try not to bombard you with too much information. We will give you appropriate levels of fact sheets and documents, guides that might help you, but also we can be someone to talk to. You've just been given a life-changing diagnosis, and that has an impact for you and your family and your ability to socialise. And what we want to do is help guide the way through to help you continue doing the things you love as best as you can. We can help you with applying for something like attendance allowance or council tax rebates or discounts. We can help by guiding you to other organisations who might be able to help, for example, Swindon Carers. Or if you're having a particularly complex problem, we can work alongside the Admiral nurses to make sure that your care is meeting all of your needs. We can help with referrals to social services. We can help you understand what a financial assessment might mean for you. We can also help you with finding socialising opportunities. So for example, within the Alzheimer's Society, we run Singing for the Brain groups. So at the moment, these are running virtually. I shan't terrify you all with my singing, but they are fantastic groups. I've come out of one this morning, and to call them little pockets of joy wouldn't be unfair. They are uplifting and joyous and enjoyed by everyone who attends them. The virtual offer of a Singing for the Brain group has surprised us all. I think if you'd have said to us 2 years ago, we'll be delivering singing groups over the internet, we'd have rolled our eyes and gone back to our tea and biscuits. But actually needs must. And during the pandemic, we were able to meet the needs of people who are able to access the technology to attend the Singing for the Brain groups online. And they have created their own communities of people where you're still able to socialise and check in with people and get that much needed contact through the week. In normal times, we offer face-to-face Singing for the Brain groups, memory cafes, Meet and Eat, which is a fish and chip lunch once a month, and a Focus on Dementia network, which is where a person with dementia comes to a meeting to have their voices heard on a variety of topics. We've covered everything from government legislation to whether a local leisure centre is dementia friendly. It's really important that we hear those voices from people with dementia. We can't talk on their behalf. Those voices need to be heard and the opinions need to be shared. Otherwise, we're not being an authentic organisation. So dementia support, I've covered some of this around what we can offer, but I think one of the most important things for me is helping you understand your diagnosis and symptoms. It can feel entirely overwhelming and isolating when you're given a diagnosis of dementia. You don't always know where to turn or who to talk to. And at that point, is not the point where symptoms start at diagnosis. So you may have already been experiencing symptoms for some time, or you may be noticing things start to change. And we can help you understand what's going on and how best to make adaptations to your daily life to help you continue living as you want to live. So that could be from technological adaptations to simple things like helping you find better ways of sequencing tasks, to remind yourself of different things, using all sorts of different. In the time that I've been with the society, we've gone from sort of recommending very specific dementia products to people. So, for example, day clocks are a fantastic way to remind people of the time, the day, the date, all in one place. And in my family, everyone seems to have one now. We also used to recommend very specific dementia products to people. But now there are some fantastic products on the market that can do half of the hard work for you, that are no longer financially they're no longer expensive for people to access. So, for example, if you look at something like an Alexa or a Google Mini that you can talk to and can talk back to you, you can ask it questions, set reminders. So, for example, reminders to take your medication or to attend the hairdressers. You can get digital photo frames to help people with prompting with things. You can use Ring doorbells, or other doorbells are available, although this isn't quite the BBC, to be able to manage who is coming to your door in an appropriate way. And the support workers are able to gather that information for you and help you make a decision that best suits you and your family. We can also help support navigate the health and social care system. We know it's complicated, we know it can feel overwhelming, and we know that sometimes it's not always easy to know what to say or what to do to get the right support. And we can help talk you through that. We can help you understand what is available to you, how to access it, whether you need to go through social services or whether you can do things like employ a care agency yourself. We can help you find care agencies or care homes. We can guide you in the direction of how best to understand what they're providing, how to access things like their CQC reports, etc., etc. We can help with applying for benefits, and we can also help understand decisions like power of attorney, deputyship. People in care homes or in hospitals may be put under a deprivation of liberty, and we can help you understand what all these legal terms mean. We can help navigate the way through a mental capacity assessment and how to understand how and when it's appropriate to be making decisions for other people. So as you can see, there's an awful lot we can be doing, but also we're entirely guided by you, either as the person with dementia that we're supporting or the carer that we're supporting. If there is something very specific that you need support with, we can support with that. And that might be the only thing that you want support with. So, for example, we have people who only want support with applying for attendance allowance. On the other hand, it might be that you have a much larger support plan around understanding diagnosis, accessing technology, applying for a benefit, and helping understand power of attorney to be able to explain it to your family. I wanted to flag to you this document. So this is something that we all encourage people to complete. This is something that is invaluable to professionals, but also to people entering the home of a person affected by dementia, or if they are admitted into hospital. So This Is Me document details all the things about you that you'd like people to know. So, for example, you might need to know that I have 2 children. You might like to know that I will do anything for chocolate. You might also want to know that I really, really don't like having my face touched. And actually, I have been known to get quite frustrated if people touch my face when I don't want them to. Now, why would that be important? Well, if I'm admitted into hospital and you're helping wash me, and you go to wash my face without warning me first, or mentioning it to me, or empowering me to do it myself, I might headbutt you. It's unlikely, actually, but I might get quite upset and frustrated that you haven't taken the time to get to know me. My family will probably tell you that I'm always right, and it's true, I am always right. So you might find me to be quite argumentative when I'm not feeling very well or very happy. So that might be something that is important to know about me. You should also know that it's really important to me to be around animals, and that might help me. For example, if there was the availability of a pat dog to come and meet with me in hospital to calm me down if I'm feeling decidedly upset. You might also need to know that work has always been very important in my life, and it's something I enjoy talking about, and that I'm naturally quite a chatty person. All these things you can document in a "this is me." And I think it's really important to understand the value of that. We've had examples of people who something so simple as being able to talk about their cat and be able to reassure them that they're being looked after enables that person to relax and reduce their fear and stress of being in an unfamiliar situation. It's really hard, especially in a hospital, to orientate yourself. And so if someone can take the time to talk to you about something that is familiar, it makes their care an awful lot easier. As you can see, I'm a great advocate for a "this is me" document. They take 10 minutes to complete. They're ideally completed by someone who knows you really, really well. They can be even completed by yourself if you are a person affected by dementia and you want to be able to have your voice heard within the "this is me." They are also your property. So when you go into hospital or to the doctor's surgery and someone takes it from you and looks at it, they need to give it back because that is for you to have. We would always recommend taking a copy of it or completing it online so you have an additional copy. But I think it's really important to know that that is your document. So feel free to ask for it back. So I was just going to do a section on most commonly asked questions to me. So if you have any questions, please pop them in the chat box. I have a couple of questions that I get asked quite often. And over the 5 years that I've worked with the society, some of the questions I get asked, there are some commonalities to them. So for example, one of the questions we quite often get asked is, when the person I care for asks to go home, but we're already at home, what should I do and what should I say? And that's a really complicated question, actually. It doesn't sound particularly complicated, but it usually happens in the evenings when someone is tired, they've had a long day, the light's changing, it's becoming darker, and people feel generally more unsettled. Asking to come home usually stems from the need to feel safe and secure, and in that moment they don't feel safe and secure within their own home. Arguing with someone, which quite often I would say, especially if you've been married a really long time, would be a natural response for people. Don't be so silly, of course we're home. What a silly thing to say, I'll go and make a cup of tea. But that's actually not listening to what the person is saying. So while what they're vocalizing may not be exactly what they mean, we have to look behind it. If that person is feeling uncomfortable or unwell, unsettled, or like they don't recognize where they are, we need to join them with where they are, validate their feelings, and try and help them feel a bit more settled. Now, it's all well and good me saying that while I'm sat here not caring for a person with dementia all day, every day, and especially through lockdown. And it can be exhausting and tiring. And if you're one of those 40% of carers spending over 100 hours a week caring for a person with dementia, to find the empathy and sympathy within yourself can be really challenging. And that's why it's important that we are able to support you to feel that you can support the person that you care for. But if you can find a way to allow that person to understand that it's okay to be unsettled and that you're there with them to comfort them or to support them, and then perhaps you can redirect them to something that makes them happy, whether that is, I noticed the BBC the other day had Faulty Towers on for the 10 millionth time this year, whether it's something as simple as putting on a favourite TV programme, a favourite piece of music, reminiscing over photographs, not something that challenges the person or tests them. If you are saying, well, where are we? You should know this. This is the house we moved into when we got married. That increases the feeling of being unsettled and being worried. And I think it's really important that we make sure that we identify when that situation is making things worse. So another question that I quite often ask is, what do I do if the person is in complete denial about their dementia? And we have to remember that there is a difference between being in denial, which is a choice you have made to not engage with a diagnosis, or whether actually they lack the insight to be able to understand that there is a problem either with their memory, with their sequencing, with what they're able to do because of a dementia. If a person is in denial, it doesn't really matter how much you beat them over the head with it. At the end of the day, they will be only able to accept help when they're willing to accept help. And that takes some very careful conversations. And we would always recommend getting support from someone like ourselves to be able to talk through the options that are available to the carer, to be able to get them well supported, to then be able to support the person affected by dementia. If a person lacks insight, it's not dissimilar in the way that you would deal with someone who is in denial. However, you have to fundamentally understand that that information is no longer stored in their brain. So it's less of a choice to not engage with the diagnosis and more of a complete lack of ability to be able to. And in that case, we would still recommend that you, as a carer, gain as much support as you can from outside agencies around whether you need some respite support or whether you just need someone to talk to, some counselling services. And we will always work closely with Swindon carers to make sure that you are well supported, but that we then have to frame difficult conversations in different ways. So, for example, whereas talking about having carers coming in to help that person because they're no longer able to manage tasks themselves, we might have to talk about how having carers come in would help you as a carer manage, not because of the person with dementia. So it's a different way of looking at it. We would never advocate lying to a person with dementia, but sometimes we have to manage a situation that enables them to be dignified and in control and have their voices heard, while also making sure that the carer is well supported. Does anyone have any other questions for me? So I can see the chat box is completely empty at the moment. If anyone has anything they would like to ask, please do. I think it's probably perfectly obvious that I could talk all day, and I do, and I have. Dementia Action Week this year has been so well received within the Swindon area, and I think it's been such an important thing for Swindon. Swindon is a fantastic dementia friendly area that works really, really hard to make sure there are opportunities for people with dementia to participate in their local community. And we would always recommend approaching us to find out exactly what's going on, how we can support you to access it, and also get you back into doing the things you want to do. I always say there's nowhere in Swindon you can't get to in 15 minutes. And so almost everywhere is accessible, but we can also help you with accessing buses, making sure you've got the appropriate bus pass or taxi vouchers if needed. So please do always get in contact to see if there's anything we can do to help. I can see that Helen has asked where the This Is Me document can be accessed. So that can be accessed through the Alzheimer Society website, which is alzheimers.org.uk, and that can be downloaded and it can be edited online now, which is really helpful, so you can save it and update it as you need to, or you can order copies of it through the society website as well, and you can have it sent to your home too. Rachel's really helpfully put the link in the chat because she's ever so good at this type of thing. So my final ask for my session today, and my slightly wonky background going on behind me that keeps flicking around my hair and be driving Kevin mad, is our Cure the Care System petition. So we are asking for the government to cure the social care system, and we have a petition calling on them to make good on the promise of fixing social care once and for all, which is what Boris Johnson said on the day he entered number 10. So we're not asking him to do anything he didn't promise to do, actually. And I think it's really important that if you are able to sign that petition, to make sure that Boris and the rest of the government know that we are serious and that people with dementia count, and that we need to make sure that they have better access to social care. So I'm going to stop talking now. Thank you very much for joining me today. Hopefully we'll hear or see from you soon. Please do get in contact. I'm just going to pop my contact details up onto this screen, so just bear with me. So that's our contact details for the Swindon Alzheimer Society, so please do get in contact if you would like to. Thank you very much.